Oh, wait, have
Mm.
I changed my audio? No, I'm using my helicopter mic.
Hey,
Well,
meow.
hey
Hey
man, welcome
now.
to the Scuff stream. And today we have it's not just me. We're doing something new. It was a very oh, I can hear myself. Where is it coming through? Where are you?
That's funny because we can't.
Oh
I
god.
Or
just
at least
noticed
I
that
can't.
your audio got way louder, so maybe it is doubling up.
Okay. No, no. My
No,
audio got louder just because
strange.
I got
Nothing
louder.
for me.
Okay. Anyway, the point is, hello.
Hey.
We have moved the Jubilee again, because this is more exciting right now. So, what actually was happening is Andrew and Bmo were going to do a discussion on AI art, and then I interrupted them by trying to stream. And then they were like, "Well, you know what you could do? You could diagram our discussion." So that's what I'm going to do. This will be like it will be the first time trying to live diagram a discussion, which without dictating where it goes, which is going to be very difficult because I've already been like, can I do no? Okay. So I don't know if I'm going to get interfere. I don't know the format of this. Okay, at the moment, this is all new. We're just going to try this out. And see how it goes. But what I did want to ask, because they actually still haven't let me know, is what the hell? Why? How did this happen? What's going on? Why did you need to talk? We
Well,
need to talk.
we have been, what is it, on and off talking about AI art between the two of
Yeah.
us for quite a while now. But then Bmo sent me this god awful response video to Shad's AI, was it love letter to AI art? Now I don't think that video
Yeah.
is. I don't think that video is perfect. It may not even be good if we could go over it sometime. Not here. But that response video, I could only get 6 minutes in. The guy was just shotgunning bad take after bad take, and just it's just a really bad response video. And then we got to talking
To give it,
about.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. No, you.
go ahead. Oh, well, to give it a little bit of context, I remember I sent him this message with the video and I was like, I want your thoughts. And his first response was, "This is a brain dead video," or something of the sort. It was like it was a pretty hardcore, like, no, this is terrible, absolutely
Dismiss.
awful.
Dismiss.
I
Yeah.
didn't even finish the video before I sent it his way, so that's probably my bad, but he didn't get more than 6 minutes in. So, yeah. Part of this, yeah, really was we've had this discussion on and off for a bit, both in Discord channels and in personal, like we're in personal messages, but mostly in the Discord. Join Kitty's Discord if you haven't already, by the way. Yeah, that we are going to have this discussion. This is going to be a debate of sorts, but we've gone through this a little bit before, so we're going to try and not have any bad faith here. We're good. We're good buddies. So we're not gonna be attacking each other, but more attacking the arguments and the discussion.
Yeah,
Anything you
and
want to say?
unfortunately, there may be a lot more agreement, especially because how much we have talked. There may be a lot more
Unfortunately,
agreement than disagreement. But I think we still do have some points where we disagree with each other. But even then, a
definitely.
lot of what I'm asking for is understanding a lot more than I am asking for agreement.
Okay, then I guess I could just state where I kind of stand on AI right now.
Okay.
Yes, maybe
So,
that's okay. So the main question, okay, that I'm going to try and go with, because I was going to ask
sure.
you, I was like, I don't want to shape the conversation, but the main question is AI art, yay or nay? Okay, that's usually the question, but we need to go. I guess we'll go from one of your positions. Just each give you each get your time to do your positions, and then we'll get into a conversation. Let's try and do it like that sort of formality. Sorry, my phone is going to be making noises too. Okay.
Thank you for the reminder to silence my phone.
Yeah. do that now too.
Darling, I hope that
Um,
meaning UAE Independence Day, Union Day. I don't know what Independence Day you're talking about.
It's July 4th for us.
Yeah, July 4th is the
Yeah,
international
The only Independence Day.
recognition. Yeah.
I
I mean, it definitely is referencing America, but I mean, that's the only appropriate day to celebrate an Independence Day
Because
on.
America is the only one that matters.
Darling has
Yeah.
decided today is Independence Day then. Okay, so
You
yes, let
decided
us
Independence Day independent of everyone else.
go.
Sorry,
Okay,
no,
so quick aside, how many was it? Isn't it was it Guy Fawkes Day? Isn't that bizarre? Like you celebrate the day something bad almost happened but didn't.
yeah.
Finnish Independence Day. Oh, cool. Well, happy Independence Day, darling.
Happy
And hello,
Independence
Theo.
Day, darling.
Okay, so what we're doing, Theo's just joined. I don't know how long you're going to stay, Theo. Or hello, June as well. Hello, babies. So yeah, because he shows them the YouTube, and they look at me like, why is
Aw.
she not talking? Anyway, so yes, I'm going to show you guys. I'm gonna just present the whole time. Don't just focus on the diagram though.
Okay.
Okay.
I will be staring into Andrew's avatar's eyes the entire time.
Me
Okay, just
too.
gonna move
I
this
can't get enough of my
and
AI
this.
avatar.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say
Oh.
I'm gonna stare into your eyes, like the glasses.
Okay, so
I'm like,
Catrew is
oh,
gonna
okay.
be
Oh, well, I can do that too.
Catrew is gonna be Andrew Clark. And he's for AI art, right? That's his argument.
Yeah.
But in
Yeah,
general,
he's taking the positive
I am
for the
taking.
most part.
We both. What is it? Spoiler. Both of us agree to some level of AI art. The level is mostly the disagreement. I think that any digital artist is going to agree with some level of AI art. It's just that what is counted as
I already disagree with what you're saying.
okay, I love it.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
okay, no, guys. Basically, what we will
No.
do first
I
is
think
your
that-
opening statements.
I think that also relates to what is it? What we were talking about yesterday, which I think is a good it's a good segue, is that I feel like one of the biggest misunderstandings or kind of ignored aspects of the AI art debate, or at least online, I don't know, or publicly, I should say, is the automation of art. I think that there is a lot of automation in art in general. Like even in natural art, or pen pencil art, you have like
Okay, now you're
stencils
going.
and
Now,
yeah,
now you're
yeah,
going into a specific part. So I want you to
general,
Opening
right? All right,
yeah.
okay, no, you're right.
So we want
No,
your
there's
opening
that.
statements
Yes.
because the reason
Sorry.
you initially brought that up is you were talking about something about yesterday. So I'll let you go with that. But actually,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
Make
So
it good,
the
Andrew.
opening, I will keep it in an opening statement form. I think that the automation of AI art is a woefully what is it? Undiscussed. Like the level of discussion on automation as it pertains to um, both historical examples and the future is woefully underdeveloped, not talked about. The what is it? The record, and you could even branch this out into talking about, like, what is it? How art is practiced today. Both both on an individual level and historical level, is sorry, not historical, but on a personal and commercial level, a lot of people aren't taking these things into consideration. A lot of the people focused on the technical aspects of AI art, to the exclusion of the general concepts. The very analogous concepts, right? Because AI art isn't achieved through the same technical way as natural art or digital art, it therefore is somehow, just on the face of it, somehow doesn't count. Um these are some of the problems that I have with the discussion of AI art.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I ask, guys? Okay, well, you know what? Maybe that will be your starting, but I will want to ask. Maybe we do let's try definitions as well. I don't
Okay.
know whether we're building this. I don't know. I've never done this. So should I be
Yeah.
asking you? What do you got? Do you guys? What would you prefer in constructing your own argument? Right now, let's pretend that we are recording, and so if you got to do it, would you want me to get your definitions now, or would you want to just say your like a little short blurb and then go to definitions? What would
Yeah,
you
I
like?
think that I'd like to hear Bmo's opening, and then we can go
Mhm.
into definitions afterwards.
I agree.
Okay. Cool. Okay, Bmo.
Okay. So I feel somewhat negative towards the idea of AI art and the effect that it will have on the industry as a whole.
Hmm.
And this is my personal view, not the general view I think that is out there. As we said before, Andrew and I have had this discussion a couple times now,
Hmm.
but ultimately, I err on the side of I don't think AI art, um, when being spoken about, generally is being spoken about in good faith. A lot of the time, it's conflating skilled labor with generating labor. Um, and I think that that's a big problem with the discussion. This is the problem that I have with Shadiversity in his video, with him calling himself an artist because of what he's able to do with AI art. Um,
Hmm.
and That's going to be a big thing that I'm going to be touching on in this discussion, because a lot of the terms that he throws out are being used as an undermining thing, uh, to try and let me rephrase that. Shad's points in his videos a lot of the time are used to completely shut down the conversation instead of continue it because of the bad faith that's involved.
Okay, so sorry, I just want to clarify what you're saying there. Shad shuts down the conversation. Shad's points shut down the conversation because,
Yes, I
or
don't think
because of the
Shad is a good
bad faith.
representative for this
Okay.
conversation.
Due to the bad faith. Okay, what do you guys think of looking at the diagram periodically to make sure that I've gotten understood you right? Because I'm not putting your sentences, I'm just putting concepts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay? What do you guys think of doing that?
I've been tracking what you've been doing there, and
Okay.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, because I don't want to misrepresent what you're doing, but I don't want you also to focus on the
think-
diagram completely. I want you, when you're talking, I want you guys to talk, but then maybe once we've moved on from one little interval, I just
think
want to
that-
make sure that, because I've got you guys in front of me, I can
Right?
ask you and I can ask you questions and shit. I'm dying.
Okay.
This is quite difficult.
No, the only kind of thing I would say is that the second and third prong of mine is I would say it's personal and commercial. I think those should be combined into one rather
Okay.
than because the point I was trying to make, or it's not necessarily personal versus commercial, but it's like uh it's kind of one concept.
It's one. Okay. Well, we are going to go into a little bit of definitions here because I do have questions
Yeah.
about what have you've actually brought here. Because I want you guys to expand on your
For sure.
your things.
Sure.
So, but I'm also trying to facilitate it. I don't know. Just let me know if you want me to do something different because we're the first of type, so we try and figure it out.
Yep.
Sure,
Just
sure.
remember that you are the moderator, so you set the rules.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess so. Also, guys, I will not be interacting with chat as much as I usually do because I've got people to interact with.
I will only interact with chat when it makes an argument I can make.
There you go.
I'm joking.
All right. So
Okay. Yes. So, what? Okay. So let's just do. I'll go back to Catrew's here. You were talking about personal and commercial. I would like you to expand on what you mean by personal, because personal and commercial seem separate to me.
Yeah, well, the point about what I was going to say is that there is a kind of like okay, so things that are like a done in on an individual and personal basis can develop a certain culture around them, in the same way that commercial does, and people will argue sometimes in without considering one or the other. They will ignore how art is practiced individually in favor of commercial, or the reverse. And I feel like, especially when talking about AI art as a general topic, that both should be considered and neither should be ignored. And we should have, even if we have an ethical standard for commercial that isn't applicable to personal, I feel like we should have one general ethical standard and then have contingencies upon that
Okay.
discuss personal and commercial differences. But there should
What
be
I'll
a kind of overarching kind of framework
So what I want to
before
ask you
that.
is, you mentioned the culture. So this culture thing, is that what led you to talk about ethics? Is that what you're talking about? A culture, the
Well, sort of.
standards. So what do you
Yeah.
mean by the word culture there? Because you said things done on an individual personal basis lead to a certain culture around it, because so I have differentiated between the two things, even though I'm showing how they are similar here. But I want to know, what is culture in this here?
What is it? Standards of norms, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so norms.
Norms.
Okay, I'm gonna do another thing here. It's fine. This is my diagram, so I'll do whatever I want. And I've got you here, so I don't have to pause you. So norms. Oh, I am pausing you. I'm sorry, guys.
You are.
Norms. This is no, but I'm trying to get the clarity out of what you're saying. So I'm hoping. So norms, standards. Okay, can I have an example of these things? Because also that, I don't know, wouldn't that help you, Bmo, as well, to understand his position without it having to be about being against it?
I actually think that we understand each other's positions pretty well already.
Okay. Cool.
So
yeah, continue. Yeah.
We'll find out.
So
But
I'm interrogating you guys.
One of the things that I've learned through different art discussions over the years, is that I've paid attention to, is that, like, something that would never fly, kind of like on a personal kind of like inner art community level, that does fly, or like even if it's frowned upon, it is somewhat acceptable, is in commercial art they will essentially rip off somebody's art and just change it a little bit to use it in their art. They won't create things from scratch. They won't like, it's different than just like learning a pose or learning anatomy, which every kind of artist does to varying degrees, is that they will, in order to be faster, in order to make their deadlines, they will kind of, I don't want to say cheat, but they will kind of, they won't create things from scratch. And so that is kind of a standard. And whatever, to different levels is how big of a faux pas it is. But I imagine that would be a much, even doing it with it's not that that kind of thing would never be allowed in a personal or a personal art scenario, but that I imagine it would be a much heightened level of egregiousness, especially because there isn't a deadline to meet. There isn't there's no real reason for it. So the fact that you're doing it almost makes it worse. Or actually does make it worse. And so, I mean, I could be wrong, but these are things that I've learned by listening to other artists talk about the industry, talking about their work. I know that recently, was it a artist that works for Wizards of the Coast essentially got fired because they borrowed somebody else's background art in the use of their art. Is that they kind of like, they tried to use like what I'm guessing is like a blur tool to blur the back.
Yeah, and I definitely have a take on that.
It. Yeah, they
I'm gonna put a little block here just as another example. Well, actually, it's a further example. But Daisy, it would really, really, really been great if you could, I don't know, come here.
The real moderator has shown up.
And Daisy's like, excuse me. Okay, so this is the Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah,
so you're holding, you got Daisy there. I've got Stanley with me.
Hi, Stanley.
You have a cat named Stanley?
No.
I love that name.
It's a dog.
A dog named that's even better.
Is it the scruffy one? Because there's a pretty one and a scruffy one.
Yeah, he's the scruffy one.
What level does scruffy versus pretty are they? Well, we're on
well, Stanley is he's like a terrier Chihuahua mix. Or not as, give it the terrier, but it's one of those smaller.
Sorry, it's whenever I think about how that works, it just makes me sad. I'm just like, whoa, okay. Yeah. I had to imagine that. I have a very vivid imagination, so stuff like this scars me all the time.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Your interlude is over. Daisy, it's all Daisy's fault, actually. Thank you, Daisy. Very well done. Also, I'm actually going to change the structure of this because I want it to go underneath. Thank you. Okay. So this was your thing of norms and standards. Okay. So how does that apply to the AI conversation? Are you saying that the use of AI needs to still develop its culture? How does this tie into the AI discussion?
Okay, so it ties into AI because there's already a standard. What is it? Okay, so people will complain about AI art for things that are already happening in the art world. Now, you could still say, well, I'm not okay with those things either, right?
Mhm.
But we're also talking about like the industry accepting kind of something, right? It's one thing if you personally disagree with a certain practices. I actually think that just simply ripping off a pose, if I was to do like if somehow uh people were hiring me for making AI art. Let's just say that I'm way better than I actually am. And people are hiring me to do AI art. If I just grab somebody else's art and then do an image to image kind of modification, and it's almost entirely the same, but it's just a little bit different, and then I sell that, I think that
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 would
would
be
be highly,
plagiarism.
yeah, that'd be highly unethical. And even if it meets some kind of like legal standard of like 20% different or 25% different, so that it's just considered to be an homage or whatever kind of thing, I still would think that that would be, if you're making money on that, especially calling it your own art, then I think that that would be highly unethical. However, I also understand that this kind of thing is like I don't want it to just be my standard that that we're talking about, our individual standards. I want us to be talking about like the consideration of how the world is going to use and accept it.
Okay.
Because yeah, because if what is it? I like okay, if I could have just any world, whatever, I would be
Mhm.
generally okay with just um I would be generally okay with not only banning AI art but banning digital art.
Wait,
Well,
say that
okay,
one more
you
If
would
time.
be
my
okay.
personal standard, I would be okay with that. Like it's like we could go all the way back and just ban all of it together and have no CGI, no digital art, no. But I mean that would be fine with me. I'm
I suppose
perfectly fine
because it's
if all we
consistent,
ever
right?
had. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. Um, but this isn't my personal standard. And we're talking about what is going to be happening. What is the we're talking about what is the reality moving forward for the world, and not
Mhm.
just our own personal standards exclusively.
Interesting. I think we're going to have a more lively discussion than I thought we were.
Haha.
Okay.
All right.
That's a take. That's a take.
What? Oh, just banning all
Yeah.
yeah.
For the sake of consistency, just ban it
Guys,
all.
I
Well,
actually
no,
sorry,
no,
just
no.
yeah.
It's not just for
Yeah.
the sake of consistency.
Well, that for me, I thought it was for the sake of consistency. Let me take it out then.
Yeah.
So
No, not
then we
just
do need to no, then we do need to examine that take a lot more. And I'm saying
sure.
it not as I'm against it. I'm saying that I want to understand it then because I clearly didn't understand you. I just want to change the tags for this video so we don't get anyone thinking that we're talking about Blair White. Sorry, there are still some tags that
Yeah, Blair White is a very big proponent of this conversation, right?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Mm,
Oh, I don't think I can't take the setting can't be changed. I can't take my
Just
wait.
leave her in the tags to keep people
Expands
yes.
guessing,
online
right?
discourse.
Just like
Yes.
when
No,
is she gonna get brought up?
no, there's
Yeah.
trans discourse and debates. Jubilee, Blair White, mind map. Okay, so
Oh
AI
no.
art, shared, shared versity. There you go. We'll put shared in. Um,
Oh,
what's another
Benjamin, yeah. Benjamin, I think
AI?
I saw that he was wondering which one
Which one is
we
me?
have
Which one
our
is
yeah,
Andrew?
yeah. Well, our names are right there, and then underneath us, Bmo.
He's an old man
B.
though, so he might not
Yeah.
be able to see it at its font.
True.
Stable
True.
diffusion.
Yeah.
Dal
So then,
E.
I am on the more pro AI art side,
Okay.
and Bmo is taking the anti side.
Okay.
That's right.
Is play white skill play much?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, oh gosh, Andrew, you have been doing most of the talking, but as I've said in previous things, it doesn't actually matter who talks the most in a debate to me, and I
Yeah.
Right.
don't, and
I am the
I
one worth
will,
listening to anyway.
I
So
no, I will let everybody have what they say, but at the moment, what we're examining is would it be okay? The statement. I'm going to actually give it its own little island over here, and it's going to get a question topic because, or a circle basically, because that's an interesting take. We've gone off from the main
yeah.
thing, but this will help us identify some of the things in the lines that you guys have. So lines drawing. Sorry. So the Andrew standard. So this is genuinely. It's not just about consistency. Not just because it would be a consistent
No.
standard.
No. If I could see a world where we would have a discussion about the what is it? What is the best ethical art? And we're talking about technique and what is fair. And so we would ban all tracing. We would ban any kind of device or method of or technology that automates art to any degree, and just ban
Okay.
that. And every piece of art is drawn from scratch, or made from scratch.
Are you making an argument of ad absurdum? Because you're like, it seems like that can be taken.
You think it's absurd, but I think that this is fine.
It to the no, like that. So, but you know that it cannot happen. So
no. My point about this is that
you would be
what
okay
is
with
it?
it.
I am not. My point is that
Art is unethical.
people are seem to be very, what is it, narrow-minded when they're arguing about art. Is that art in general, whether that's natural, was it natural, digital, or AI? Is that there is all kinds of automation that exists in art, and it's not just consistency. We're talking not consistency for consistency's sake, that is. But if we're talking about automation in art is fine, if all different automation techniques and practices are okay, or at least acceptable, even if they are like frowned upon, right? Like if somebody uses somebody else's art and it's really close, and you're like, dude, you should have just not done that. You should have made it yourself. But that's where it ends. It's just kind of like the finger wagging, shaking your head. If that's where it ends there, I feel like that should be the same level, to a certain extent, in relation to AI art, is that people should, finger wag and shake their head, but allow it nonetheless. To degrees, not everything. I'm not saying that this ends the debate. I'm saying that that again, I want consistency because of the substance, not consistency for consistency's sake. So if we were to determine at the end of a conversation that some level of automation in art is acceptable. I would hope that we would continue that with AI in the discussion. Is where exactly is this allowed? Because
So
while it is not to the same extent that AI art is used, it's not using the same software, but there are definitely computer assisted techniques used in digital art.
Mhm.
And I feel like the fact that those exist and are used and are okay is kind of flies in the face of a lot of AI art, anti-AI art arguments.
okay, so am I understanding you right here? We had this as just the anchor point for that. Would like be okay with automation, but we know that it can't be. We can't ban all of that automation. We can't, right? And uh, and because you were talking about, you were saying like this isn't just your standard, so we need to look at the realistic standard. So can't ban automation, so I'll even put here realistic standard. Okay, and what you want is there just to be standards of how AI art is used as a further tool. It's AI art is just another tool.
Yeah.
Another AI is another tool, and you can critique it in its own lane, or yeah, it's just I don't.
Well, there are
Um,
okay in the same respect, in the same way that AI or digital art, sorry, in the
mhm.
same way that digital art has unique features to it that aren't necessarily analogous or directly analogous to natural art. There are going to be things that are unique to AI art where they're gonna be unique examples, they're gonna be unique circumstances where we would have opinions that don't necessarily have that don't have a comparable example in natural or digital.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
never did go over those definitions, by the way. Just want to put that out.
Yeah. So, well, we did the definition wise. Actually, we had the culture, which was
I
the
guess we did
yeah,
have
we
that.
did that.
Then we got
But
spawned this
actually,
whole other thing.
but I do want to go to something over here. I will want to ask about here. Skilled labor generating. I had some questions about these
Yep.
definitions,
I'd
but
be happy to
then
answer
I
them.
just want to also just give you some space as well to add your points in. Bmo.
Hello?
I don't know if there's anything you want
Oh, sorry. It looked like we were
Can
losing
anyone hear it,
connection.
to
Bmo?
add.
Can anyone hear it, Bmo?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear Bmo. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, just making sure.
I can hear you.
Yeah, some of the
So
stuff that
yeah,
Andrew has said, I definitely have some
mm,
contention with.
That's fine.
mhm.
And I'll be happy to try and address some of these things. But I was just making sure it's like whether it's my turn to speak or not.
Yeah,
Because I want to be able to
you
get my
guys are
points
very
down.
civil. Yeah. So I'm
Trying
just
to be.
making sure everybody's things are the right color so far. So you go ahead, because it's a lot
Okay.
of purple over here.
I know. Which makes me sad because I wanted the purple and then he said it first.
You know what? Then I'm not. Neither of you are purple. I'm purple.
But what? No. No. Okay.
Catrew can be pink.
Moderator gets to choose.
I'm purple. Very important. You see? Okay.
Mm.
Copy style. No one. That's the kind of parent I am. Okay. Nobody gets the candy if we're not sharing it. So there we go.
Communism.
Look at the green is pretty great. Yeah. I think Catrew is very upset with me because I've taken away his purple.
Oh, gray
Okay.
is in the base green position. I agree. I green. I agree.
Green. Okay. So
Okay.
go ahead. I'll try
So
and fit your points in.
I guess taking it point by point with the effect on the industry, we're already seeing a loss of jobs due to it is basically AI art completely eliminates the concept art role. And that was something that a long time ago I was actually trying to get a job in. It was a skill problem for me. I'm a little closer to that now, but now the job is mostly eliminated because you can just generate a prompt, and it will do the concept art for you, and then you can work from there. So that's mainly the point I was trying to make regarding the effect on the industry, on top of like AI being used to help further developments in filmmaking and such. I can see it as a good way to cut corners, but I'm afraid of the effects that it has on jobs and people. Just like this is my problem with automation in general. It's like, okay, people have that problem of what if I want to work? There's not a job anymore. But that is probably my loosest stance that I'm willing to be. I could go either way depending on the job. Because humans will find work regardless of whether it's good work or helpful work or whatever. They'll do something. So that's, yeah, it is definitely a worry issue on my side. Let's see, what would be another thing here? Because I wrote down some of my points here, and that was one of them. So let's see. Yeah, the debate was spawned by Shad's video. Let's see. Looking at my points here.
For just a quick one for
Yeah.
definition. So you use skilled labor versus generating labor. Can you just
Yes. Let me define my terms there.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll help if I describe how I see AI art and how it's made versus how I draw. I draw often and I make things, so it's like the creative process is different. I equate AI art to commissioning someone and having input that way, where they will make you a piece and then you say, hey, I want you to change this, or hey, make that nose smaller, make the eyes bigger, give them a tail. It's akin to commissioning an artist, whereas if you're just making the thing, the input is different. You're physically making that thing. With that comes the skill that, or you hopefully skill, where you're building the thing. You're literally building it like it's Legos. And there's a skill issue there. There's a difference. I can't believe I just said skill issue, but my main point is that there's a difference, and conflating the two, I think, is disingenuous, because it's very different. Input on an already generated piece is not the same as making it, and I don't think that they should be labeled as the same. And this is part of my contention with Shadiversity.
I just want to jump in there and say that I mostly agree with what's being said here.
Yes.
As far as what you're talking about, the generation and the commissioning and all, and probably even what you're about to go into is related to Shad. But I just wanted to.
Yeah. So Shad holds the stance, and I double checked to make sure I was correct on this. But he generally holds the stance that he is an artist because of his AI art. And I cannot disagree with that more. I think that Shad is an artist, whether a good one or not, that's dependent on opinion, because of the drawings that he can do. I've seen what he can create. That's what makes him an artist, not what he does with the drawings that he puts through AI to make them look better. Because that's what he does. He will draw things and then he'll put them through the AI to
fill them in,
make it look nicer. Basically, he makes the building blocks and then the AI iterates on top of that. So pretty much a good equivalent to that is how some people do commissions for me. So when I'm commissioned, sometimes I'll ask them, hey, draw this out as best as you can first, so then I have a good reference to go off of. And sometimes it's even just stickmen and how they're positioned, but that is super duper helpful for how I can use that as a reference and iterate upon that to make what I make.
But
And
that
I
would
don't
yes,
see it
that's a
as the same.
prompt.
It is a
So
prompt,
it
but I'm
wouldn't be the
still putting
same. It isn't
the
the same.
yeah, it's not the same.
The humanity of it is the difference,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, well,
So
I would say
does that
so.
matter for you? Yeah, the humanity
I
of it,
think I
literally.
think that the human input is a big
Mm,
part of what matters to me.
yeah,
I do understand that
that's
there's an
this. Yeah.
argument for the prompt generation is the same. I don't agree because there's a difference in input. One's building it, one is just telling something else that is not human to build it.
So human aspect is valuable. Okay. This is why this word disingenuous comes along, because you're taking the human out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like my question that I was going to ask you eventually does come up here, but I suppose you just want to. Do you want to? I don't know if. Okay, what I want to ask is, let us talk about the concept of art, because you guys have spoken about artists.
Oh boy.
And he, because now you brought up the fact that Shad has said he's an artist, whereas like for me I would say, okay, it's egregious for him to say he's an artist, but if he said I'm an AI artist, that's a new thing. So then we get Andrew's culture that gets put on top of him, that he's got to put things through there, but that also brings the cultural thing of this was not a human, that there is the thing that we are telling you is that yes, this is AI art, and what needs to be believed by people is that was a machine that did it. And eventually my opinion is what happens is when it is handmade, that it's going to be the same thing as pottery, where if something is handmade, it's suddenly more valuable,
It
because
does.
of the
I think it does
humanity
gain
of it.
value, but I think that well, one of the first things
But
you
that's
said.
my
So that
stance.
it's
We don't need to talk about mine.
yeah, discussing the concept of art, you can tend to get into the weeds of what is
art?
art, and that is a matter of opinion. Like I'll be honest with you. I look at some AI art pieces and I'm like, wow, that looks good. And a lot of artists that are anti-AI art will never admit that. They'll say it looks bad because it's not human input. No, I'll look at it and I think it looks nice. I'll just never hold it to the same standard as if a person actually made it.
Well,
And this does
and
go back to actually
wait.
something Andrew said. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to jump in there and say that I have like relating to my what is it headline, right? AI fisherman, that AI art can, in many ways, at least the way it is right now, be compared to kind of fishing, where you've got these fish or these pieces of art, generated by a computer that you are kind of like, pulling out of the ether or out of the computer, and then you might actually really like that fish, but you didn't make it. What is it? There might be, what is it? In the same way that there is skill in fishing, there's skill in cooking. There's what is it? That kind of thing. You didn't make like a what is it? And I would agree that this is on a scale, right? So like, I'm not trying to denigrate cooking as a profession, as a type of art, but but just speaking, matter of factly, they didn't create the ingredients, right? They transformed them, and in that same way, um, uh, in a similar way, not in the same way, but in a similar way, and somebody who's working with AI art as it exists now, not where it will lead to in the future, but as it exists now, that you have to work a lot with the program in order to get the desired piece of art. For anything that I generally post, I usually go through like 10, 20, sometimes 100 different pieces of AI art that I end up throwing away, that I never end up showing anyone.
Mhm.
And you can consider that also something like, failed attempts, or you like your, what do you call it, you're casting your rod, you're pulling it back, you're like, nope, that one's no good, nope, that one's no good, right? But then you finally get that fish that you like, and you reel it in, and you're like, yes, this is the one, I really like this one. But you didn't make that fish. You
Mhm.
you
You
may
didn't.
have used a lot of skill in kind of like picking, compare, if we're to go with the analogy, you may have chosen the lake, you may have chosen the what is it, you may have chosen the lure, the exact equipment, you may have what is it, had all kinds of different fishing skills involved in order to get that particular fish, but you didn't make the fish.
Mhm.
Interesting. I feel like my definition is better. But that's
What do you
maybe it's
mean?
because I made it. Oh, the it's akin to just commissioning.
Well, no,
I
no.
think it's easier
I
to
hear what you're
understand.
saying. I hear what you're saying, right? But in the same respect to fishing, um, compared to what is it, in AI art with fishing, neither one is involving a human. I can talk to you, and you know what I mean automatically,
Okay.
right? Assuming there's no language barrier, right? I can talk to you. You can know what I mean. You're limited by your understanding of what I'm trying to get at, and your or the art. Let's say the art. The art is limited by our communication skills and your particular art skills, but we're able to build together, theoretically at least, the art that both of us are satisfied with.
Oh, Kitty,
Um,
could we actually color those to Andrew's points?
Oh,
yeah,
sorry, I made them. Sorry, they're not yours. Sorry. Good catch.
I was like, I didn't do that.
yeah. He
Okay,
doesn't get
thank
that
you for
credit.
paying attention.
I don't
So
get that
Um,
credit.
yeah.
mm-mm.
So so I would say it's while I definitely agree, we've talked about this before, that it is very akin to commissioning art, and especially the way it theoretically will be in the future, it will be almost 100% analogous to commissioning art, at least theoretically. It depends on the exact path it takes, but
Sure.
um, but
If it goes the way I'm afraid it will go, my analogy will stick because
um,
I
yeah,
that's my worry.
the commissioning.
Yeah.
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 Especially theoretically, what is it? Will it make you feel any better? And I doubt that it will. I'm saying that, but will it make you feel any better if the commissioning process with AI art 100% replicates actual art, where like it's doing
It's
different, like,
generation immediately, like you can see it
no.
or
It's not generating the art, like the finished product, automatically. It's generating the different steps as it goes, right? So it's
with how I understand what you just said, no, that would not help me. I would not feel
yeah.
good about that, and I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't compare it. I think that the
It,
conflation is still off.
what do you mean? I'm not
Well,
saying. I'm not.
The conflation of AI generation versus manual and your
No,
artist's
no.
decision.
Uh, not that
Okay.
it would make them artists, but it would be way more close to commissioning. Like it would be directly to the point where not even Shad could call himself an artist at that point.
Okay.
He still would, but
This actually-
that's not relevant.
This
to
actually
the
goes to
ultimate point.
this. This actually is
Yes.
what I want to talk about here. This goes to the what is art, because
Yes.
if I'm actually just picking up on you guys, there's actually there's two different kinds of creation of AI. We can be let's find terms to refer to this, right? Because there's
Okay,
AI art.
so
That this is the generation, literally the machine, the algorithm doing it. Okay. Okay, so once it's compiling, what did they call that? What is that called?
oh, it's prompting. It's prompt generation.
No. What once
Prompt.
you say generates, no, once it generates, not prompt generation, because the human generates.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
prompt.
yeah.
Are you
So,
talking about the LoRa or something?
No,
Is
like-
that
like
No,
what
when
no,
you-
well,
when
no,
you-
no, no.
When you put in your phrase and you click the word, it's generate. Okay, that's what I'm saying, right?
Oh,
But then, yes,
yeah.
that's one. But that's AI art for us. But what you're talking about, Andrew, is making
different steps.
the different kinds of prompt. So you're yeah, there's an abstraction that we are talking about here, because what Bmo talks about is the whole of AI art. It seems like the whole use of it, right? Because but you're saying that the little steps, and I think it seems that Shad, if I remember correctly, the little steps about refining negative prompts, positive prompts, all of those kinds of
that's
that
why he
kind of
calls it
skill.
artistry.
Yes,
Calls it art.
that kind of
Well-
skill
well-
is what makes it art.
This is, and the thing is that I'm reminded of, they've had a few different ones, but on EFAP, they have had very long discussions on what art is, and I think that Shad is influenced by that. And if you're what is it? What is it? The art that is created, by taping a banana to a piece of canvas,
Here
right?
we go.
Is that art? If you're going with a binary, you have to say yes. Now, obviously, the substance of the arguments, right? If we're going based on scale, that's way down at the very bottom of the barely qualifies as art, obviously, right? And maybe what we want to be doing, this actually goes to discussions that frustrate me, is that what we're talking about isn't even the binary. We're talking about what is in the middle or the high end of the scale, and that's what we're trying to talk about. We're not talking about it in a binary. We're not talking about it the bottom of the scale. We're trying to exclude that. We're only trying to talk about the middle to top end of the scale. And I think that is what we have always done, is even if we've entertained the idea of taping a banana to a piece of canvas.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you're talking
and-
about a scale there. Can I have the scale? From what to what? So from banana to Mona Lisa?
Yeah, sure. That'll work.
And
That's a
what you want to
wonderful
talk about
phrase.
is the mid.
I think that it's describing what the cap of art is a little difficult.
Well,
But
yeah,
I think that works as
But
as
you were
kind
talking
of like a
you were talking
placeholder.
about there's no binary. So we're saying there's no
Well, no,
binary.
Well, there is.
And
Fine. I think
Yeah.
both me and Bmo find the binary discussion to be, what is it?
kind of boring.
Boring and can be disingenuous.
that goes
Let
back
me-
to
yeah.
goes back to this this basically fine, then we can just ban all automation and all of that and just make
Let
it
me actually
really-
like my stance on this part of the conversation on when it gets off into the weeds about what is art, it is so freaking subjective. It will get lost here forever. So a lot of the time when we have this discussion, we usually will sidestep that, because pretty much when we start talking about what is art, all you can say is, okay, it's just creative input. This is why I will actually cede some ground and say that AI art is art to a degree. I will say that, even though I will not hold it to the same level as art made by humans.
Agreed.
I think you guys are actually on the same page then.
Yes.
It's just the words that you're using.
Yep. You know, the important part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. It's just the words. It's what you mean when you actually both have the same sort of line, because when we say what is art, you've both said we don't like this question. We don't. It's not a productive question. What actually you're doing here is you're talking about the standards that you will put against. You don't like like Bmo. What I think your line is the human line. You don't want to, which you've said, you don't want to call Shad an artist. You don't
No,
want
I
to
will
do
call
that.
him an artist for the things that he can make physically, but I won't call him an artist because of his use with AI art.
So you won't call Andrew an artist either, right?
Unless he were to draw and to actually like put that
Yeah.
work in. No, I personally would not. No offense to you, Andrew.
So
Okay.
So yeah.
Are
So for
you
you,
going to sit there and deny my Gartic phone art? Really?
I'm not. I'm not. That
No,
is
he loves
artistry
that art.
for
That's
sure.
art.
It's
So
that. I'll take that over your AI art.
Yeah. There
okay,
you go.
so for you, Bmo, human, the creative, you understand that art is creative input, but you for drawn art, for drawing, okay, you want human creative input.
Well,
And
it's
physical.
not just drawing. This could go
Human
for
physical.
editing. This could go for other things. This is actually someone in the chat brought up pendulum art and stuff like that. That still requires the human input for it to start, and I still think that that has merit as art, because of what it is.
I think, what is it? Okay. I think that there is no. I disagree with you there. I think that it's art in a very similar sense. What is it? Pendulum art is art in a very similar sense to AI art. You were setting up a program to do all the work for you, to generate the art for you. You may understand it better. It's simpler. You can do it with your own hands, and you don't require a computer. But I mean, AI art is simply a more sophisticated version of pendulum art.
Sure, but I think the human input is
they're
part of what it is.
100% analogous. You generate the prompt.
So
I don't hold it to the same degree, though.
Yeah, you've actually got a qualitative difference. It's not, you can't quantify where the human line. You can have the spectrum and have examples, and there's a feeling that you will get from something described that will make you feel the line out. So you said pendulum was human enough. For Andrew, that's logically it's equivalent. So you guys, that's where you disagree. Welcome. And you're not going to agree.
No, I don't think we are going to agree on this specifically.
No, we're not going to agree on that. I think that there is some common ground, but I think that we've kind of reached an impasse there. As long as I'm understood, I'm happy. Do you understand why I'm saying that, even if you disagree with it?
I think I do. Where you're saying that since you're letting it go, you hold it to the same degree as if you were to give it a prompt and let it go.
Yeah.
I think that there's more input than that. But I guess that's just a difference of whether you're pushing the pendulum to make it spin or typing it out.
Okay, so
we see that a little different.
Here is the what is it? Here's the disagreement. I think that if the only difference is that in many ways the programmer of the AI art is a theoretical step removed from the pendulum stuff, whereas like the generator and the programmer of the AI program is in one person is the person who is pushing the pendulum. But if you had a person write the code for an AI art and trained all the AI art themselves, and then is writing prompts, and they generate AI art, is that any different than a person pushing the pendulum art?
Could you say that one more time so I can really find out what you were saying there?
Okay. So you get a programmer
Mm-hmm.
who writes all the code from scratch for
Yeah.
an AI for AI art. And then even if they like studied what it is, right? Because like theoretically, someone someone doing a pendulum art didn't invent it from scratch themselves; they researched it. So you get a programmer; they write all the code themselves for the AI art. They train the model themselves on all the art that they consider to be significant,
Mm-hmm.
and then they write the prompt and they generate the art. Is that not like there's a sophistication difference? There's an end product difference, but is that not almost entirely analogous to someone setting up and pushing a pendulum art?
Honestly, with the way that you described it, I would actually give a little more credence to the person that went in and wrote everything by scratch to create the program than the person that set up a pendulum and told it to spin. Um, but I honestly, I personally think that this comparison is not a very good one. And it's like a matter of we obviously disagree on the degree on like the degrees here. My voice, the degrees here. Um, and I'm not sure where we could really go in this part of the conversation. Uh, because it with what you described, I would actually put the because of the amount of work that was put in, I would actually put the programmer that created the workflow and all that above the person that just sets a pendulum on a string and tells it to spin, because both are generating art. One takes more work than the other, and I kind of do value work a little bit more
I would say that
in this instance.
there's more, what do you call it? There is more labor hours, certainly.
Now, I
And
don't equate
the
labor hours
artistry,
to value though.
right, agree. Okay. Very that sort of was going to be my question a little
Okay,
bit.
because you could work for 10 hours on a stickman drawing and it's still a stickman drawing. Okay. I don't like that's why I'm trying to make the distinction right there, cut it off of the pass. This is part of the problem I have with getting into the weeds on this discussion. This part of this discussion specifically, because it's eventually it boils down to, do I think that this is good or if this is good? And that is completely up to interpretation via who you're talking to. It's like I could last night I was talking to someone about League of Legends splash art. I think that is some of the top tier art to be made these days. It is beautiful renders, absolutely gorgeous. And someone said, but Picasso though, and I said, I think that this is better than Picasso. And that's like heretical to say, but I like League of Legends splash art more. And this is where this part of the discussion always boils down to. It's just subjective whether I like this thing or if I like this thing.
Well,
And I'm
part of okay, so what is it?
Yeah, sorry, there's there's no
there is
logical. You guys have logic that you follow. Your premises differ. Your lines differ.
Well, here's the thing.
You're
if
not. Yeah.
if you incorporate taste into the argument, I agree. But if we're simply, we could set up a metric where we're talking about sophistication of techniques, and other such verifiable and objective metrics. We could come to a conclusion. But if we're leaning heavily on personal taste, then I would agree. There is there's almost no point to having. There's very little point, I should say, to have that
Well, yeah.
conversation.
Then the personal taste is literally the only thing that we actually operate on. As
Yeah.
much as we want to try and be like, woohoo, logic, no, because if this is the way, like, I'm not
I
going to the
disagree. I
cultural,
disagree. I
I'm
think
not going
that's
to the cultural relativism part of it. But what are you saying, that it just cannot be what Bmo has explained
I
to
think
us?
that
It just
I
cannot
think.
be
Well, no.
physiological.
I know. I think that
Call me a Karen. Come
there
on, do
are.
it.
What is it? No. I think that there are definitely people. Well, there's a whole host of different agents in this discussion that have that are actors, right? That are bad.
Yes,
Bad
I agree with
actors.
this.
You know, there are people that are ruled by their elephants. There are people that are acting more on reason and whatnot and such. But I think that what you just said there almost leans on the end product. I feel like even if was it we only used previous art that existed even just post 2015, let's say, I don't know, just some number, or pre 2019, there are 2020, yeah, 2019, yeah, only art that was existed pre 2019, and we're able to collect it and use it to train all of it that we could use to train any number of AIs, and we're never including anything from after that. I think that if we were to perfect different models, and perfect AI art so that it is creating 100% the kind of art that we want, I don't feel like that's going to fix a lot of people's core points. Even on a logic, even like, what is it? You could say that part of that is related to their elephant, their emotional core, their irrational mind. But I think that just boiling it down to that, I think, is disingenuous, or it's missing the point. I don't think that if you weren't saying that, that's kind of what I got from what you said. That our personal taste is what everyone is operating off of. I think that people have.
Well, in this conversation, yes. There's no one else here.
I
It's
am
only
trying
you
my
guys.
best to avoid the personal taste issue. This is why I brought up that, because when we
No,
get
you go,
into
yeah, but
what is
listen,
art,
no, listen, even when you guys go away from what is art, okay, like there is a central value that you guys have here, both of you have decided that art is valuable,
yeah,
and art is good, decided that's it.
Well,
You've got a line here, yeah, no.
Well, I was just going to say, it's like, if you're talking about our prejudgments, I think that you can, what is it? Prejudgments can eventually, or what's it? If you boil down anything down to, or everything down to prejudgments, and interrogate them as far as they'll go, eventually you will land at, well, I just think, I just
Yes, of
feel,
course. You are going to
right?
get that, yes.
But
Because
I
but
feel
that
like,
doesn't validate
I don't know. I
cultural
feel like that's a little
relativism.
bit of a. I feel like that's a little bit of a cop out. I feel
It's
like
not a cop out. It's not a cop out because at the end of the day, I'm not going to go, oh well, it's your truth. You live your truth and whatever.
yeah.
I'm not going to say that. No, that's you've taken it too far. Then what I'm saying is that all we can do is find the lines between each other, because they really eventually it does come down to it. Every time we break it down, you will find places that you guys agree and places that you don't agree, and that's it. That's what we've always come to in
Well,
these debates online, is
Mhm.
that it's like people don't, it's a debate because they don't agree,
Yeah.
well,
and
yeah,
they're not
but
going to come to agreement, because
I
it
think
just
that
depends on which
me and
premise
Bmo
you
was
like.
something that we came to an early understanding. We revisit it every once in a while. Is that what I mostly want is clear definitions and to be understood.
Yeah.
It's not an acceptance of my view. It's not like me winning the day.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think you guys have made yourself understood. I don't know.
And you're allowed to be wrong, Andrew. No, I'm
That's
kidding.
okay.
No,
I am
but
allowed to be wrong. You heard it
but you
here
guys, if you guys want to
live.
bring it back, am I bringing it back down? Because actually, what Cameron had a good. He said, bring it back to your axioms. Like what are your axioms? So for actually, it's not even this question of what is art. It's actually what do you value more? And Bmo values the drawing part, the actual human interaction. So
Yeah.
one of the examples that Gray brought up was, okay, so if an AI, if you commission ChatGPT to write you a play, and then they go and humans go and perform that play, and would that be art? Now we don't need to talk about whether it's art or not. Which one would you prefer? Would you like the one that ChatGPT wrote or the one that I wrote? Which one would you value more
Okay.
as a human? And by Bmo standard, even though mine's going to be shit, don't worry. By Bmo standard, there's more human in that. So, am
That
I
is what I would
understanding it
pick. Yeah.
correct? Yeah, there's
Yeah.
more human there. So all the
I
flaws
call it
and
my
whatever.
appeal to authenticity.
Yes.
That is my appeal to authenticity.
Okay. So that's it. It's just it is the.
I don't have anything to
authenticity
say on that. I literally, I mean, I don't have an opinion.
Well, if you
only
want to address my appeal of authenticity, there are some holes in there that you might be able to poke me with.
well, okay. So I think that I let me rephrase. As far as like what is it? I don't have anything to say as far as like the chat GPT that is acted out by real people. I think it's an interesting. I would actually like to see that. I think that, but especially because of how it was done, right? Especially if it was, it had some irony and some satire, whatnot going on. I think that that could be quite humorous, and that's where you would get a lot of the value from. But I think that as far as the core arguments, I would like to stick to art. Like was as art as a like a
Please.
painting,
Please,
drawings,
yes.
and stuff. Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to get into the is this art? Is this art? Part of the
No,
debate.
no. I didn't. What I was bringing to you is the value of each thing. So
Okay. I just usually see it devolve into that, so I'm trying to.
No, we were. I know we did it, and I'm sorry that I brought you guys down that path. But it does become relevant, because then it's like, oh well, the reason that we were talking about Shad was because Shad said he was an artist, and then no, Bmo said he's not an. That's egregious. So it comes back down to the culture actually that you were talking about what is acceptable to say. So one question here, Gray does have I think the closest we can get is to finding the line here, because
Sure.
your line's different to Andrew's line. So Gray says, at what point does a tool make the piece less authentic? So I'm sure Andrew will agree that there are qualitative differences between drawing it out on a piece of paper physically and doing AR art. He's not equivalent making those equivalent. I don't think you've ever done
Well,
that.
here, wait. We can.
But you're valuing them.
Now, this is a question for your authenticity. So use this framing, okay?
Okay.
But what is it? A computer generates the prompt, and you are the artist. What is the value there? Is you being the human artist completely redeem the prompt, or is it somehow tainted because it wasn't a human who generated the idea?
Hold on, I want to make sure that I'm understanding you correctly. So are we saying let's say digital art? If I'm using a digital art, I'm trying to understand what you're saying here.
No, okay. You can use whatever medium you want, natural or digital, but the chat GPT somehow spontaneously, like it's somebody asks it to come up with a random idea for art, and then you take that random idea for art and whatever it gives you, and you make that thing.
You made the thing, so you're the artist, and it would be valued as your art. Whether you take the prompt or not is
not.
No, I don't think so. Mainly because you actually put the full work in rather than having it made for you. Whether you're given like taking external references, taking external stuff like that is a part of the art creation process in all forms of art. So that's just a part of the creative process. Even for AI art, it has to take external references in order to make what it is making, and that would be what a prompt, you using a prompt like that would be like. Because I use random prompt generators all the time, but I'm still creating the thing, and that's the big difference.
Here, what is it? People that talk about like AI art, and here's a, what is it? If we could imbue somehow a robot specifically with creativity, would it does that change at all the AI art? Because I mean, at that point, it's not really even AI art. It's something
creativity
else.
Sorry,
but
I want to ask you there. Just
does it? Well, my point is that, like, one of the arguments that they use against AI art is that if you don't have art to as examples, you can't create AI art. I would say that generally is the same for what is it? That is generally the same for people too. Is that if you, what is it? If you had somebody who was blind that but somehow still was able to have good spatial awareness, they're not going to be able to create anything. I mean, that's the equivalent.
There are exceptions to that rule. There are blind artists that have been blind all their life, and they can still create houses, planes. That I can show you examples later. That it's actually pretty interesting stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
Because they're going off of their imagination.
Yeah, they're right. So my point, I was going to draw from that, right, is that if we had an AI art that did, or an AI that was somehow creative, right, and didn't use reference art, would that make things any better?
I'm not sure, because I don't think that exists right now.
Well, that definitely does not exist.
If it was possible, yeah.
But if it was possible, I'm just finding. I'm going with Kitty suggestion. I'm trying to find the line. That's all.
But it's
I don't think it's
mystical.
winning.
Then,
I'm
then
not
we're
winning
gonna get
anything.
onto
I'm just trying to find the
then
line.
we're gonna get onto consciousness and what is creativity, because that's what I was gonna ask you, Catrew. What is creativity? You're saying if we imbue a robot with creativity, what is creativity? Because then if we want to look at what creativity is in humans, it's something we can't define, we can't find it, we can't measure it.
so
it just happens.
Right.
So
So
it's
you
random.
have, well, I don't think that random, what is it? I really do hate the idea that like spontaneous generation of ideas or decision making or creative output, whatnot, is simple. I hate the description of it as random. There are I understand the desire to do that, but I don't think that that really describes what's happening.
Yeah, the reason
I
it seems random is because you cannot find the source of it in a human.
exactly.
You can't
Now,
really because of consciousness, because of lack of, we don't know where everything comes from.
yeah, exactly. I think that we don't have the answer. I'm fine with we don't have the answer for now. But
I don't
for
know how I'd
me,
feel
just
anyway. Because
yeah,
it's not something that
'Cause
actually
then it's
exists, so I'm not
yeah.
sure how I really would feel about it morally.
Okay. Can I ask you then if we, because with what we talk about in AI, if in terms of artificial intelligence, we're not talking about general intelligence, generalized intelligence,
okay.
which I think that's kind of what you're referring to when you say imbuing a robot with creativity, is that they are just not, they are basically, you're giving them humanity, you're giving them a human brain, you're giving them
Mhm.
sentience, that they are able to take input and do something with it without instruction, which is kind of impossible with, that's why we don't have generalized intelligence. We have something that seems so intelligent, but it all needs reference. So what
Sorry, it's
this
not on Google. I
hypothetical
can't
is
tell
here.
you. That's what the
But
robot would be like right now.
exactly. They what if you trained it all on propaganda, all it's going to know is that it will be you grow up little robot Nazis if you want it. But what
Or
we're
socialists.
talking about here, what we're talking about here is which it gets us back to the arty farty sort of conversation of, okay, what is creativity? Because then we get, because Bmo's line is humanity, so we are going all the way down into what is human now. So it's because now I would ask you, if we got general intelligence and there is an AI that is human in in every way, but they weren't born from a womb, what would you do? What would you value them more or less or the same as a normal human that was born?
That
well,
is a
not
very
definitely
good
not
question.
more. Definitely not more. I can
Definitely not
easily answer
more.
that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would. What is it? What is it? I am. This actually relates to that story I was telling you about, Bmo, where they actually did create a general AI that was essentially a person, and they realized that they went too far, and so they decided we're not going to. They voluntarily decided as a species. No, it's a sci-fi story.
Yeah.
As a species to not cross that line anymore. Is that they'll
Mhm.
create complex robots with complex computer programs and whatnot and such, but they are not going to go as far as to create a general AI because they feel like it's crossing a line that shouldn't be crossed.
Okay.
And I feel like that is potentially our what is it? That is a potential future for humanity. Maybe we get to the
I'm
point
not
where
sure about that.
we well, no, I mean, maybe we will never be able to satisfy the criteria we would come up with. We keep coming up with what is it? testing criteria that ends up proving where the bounds of this general intelligence is, so that it's like that creates a kind of like an understanding of how you can get around it, kind of thing, where it doesn't understand that it's being gotten around, right? So it you like take the smart part out of the I out of the AI, right? The intelligence part out, and so I mean that's entirely possible as well. I feel like that actually, at least in the short term, is a lot more likely, is that we won't actually be able to create. So this is that'll be more of a delusion. But I could be proven wrong. I
Sorry,
mean, who
guys.
knows?
I
Maybe
have
maybe
I'm the worst
10.
moderator because I got stuck in chat. I got stuck with
Yep.
Cameron because
After you
he's
said that you weren't going to.
yeah,
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So whatever just passed between you two has not passed through my ears properly.
It's okay. We
Um,
kind of came to what seems like a point where we can't really move forward in this part of the
No.
conversation.
Yeah, I'm kind of ready to get back.
There is something on here though that I want to address, and I see that Gray said, "At what point does a tool make the
Yes.
piece less authentic?"
Because this is more identifying the line, which is I'm happy
more or
to
less
do
that gets to the heart of a lot of what I was talking about.
This is
Well, go ahead.
About why I would be, what is it? I think that it would be to the detriment of society, but I also feel like what is it? Advancing advancing art along these lines, or advancing art along the lines of automation isn't necessary at all. I think that art is good for humanity and good for society, but if somehow we all banned what is it? We all banned art, the automation of art in all aspects, I think that we'd get along just fine.
Maybe. The problem with it is that when the innovation of jobs came around and all these new things were coming out, like let's say the car versus the horse and all that, art's kind of stayed the same. It's a recent phenomena for art to be iterating upon itself as it is, creating subgenres of art. It wasn't nearly as prevalent until the last 20 years. Where it went in from traditional art, let's talk the industry here, where traditional animation, traditional painting and everything, to the switch to digital, and then discussing, is that art? A lot of people did have problems at the time of like, no, I don't see this as the same. But a lot of it came with the fundamental misunderstanding that there's less skill involved. And that's kind of where I'll die on that hill. There is skill involved still. A lot of the time when you're using digital art, for example, you're using traditional techniques to make it happen. Whether you are using a tool, let's say a hatching tool that does a bunch of shading work, you still have to put the technique in to make it look right. And that's still the human input aspect that I'm talking about. It is not, I would hold it to, let's say, if someone were to physically be making each one of those little lines, I hold that to a higher degree because I know how freaking hard that is to do. But it's still art. It's still being made by humans. It still follows my my concept of why I would hold this so high. I don't think that. Let me rephrase. The whole thing about the iterations and getting into the concept of AI, this is where people are still having that innovation problem of, okay, where do we draw the line? This is why I'm saying, just conceding that, saying AI art is art, but would I hold it to the same degree? No. Does that make sense?
You wouldn't value it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't personally value it the same.
I think that what do you call it? I think that and we both agree. Like the binary exists, but the bottom end of the binary, when you put it on a scale, the bottom end is completely uninteresting.
Yeah. To fully answer the question straight out on at what point does a tool become less make it less authentic? When you are not putting the work in. and I'm talking input generation is not the same as drawing, and you will never be able to make me accept that. It is just that's the hill I really can't agree with anyone on, and Andrew and I generally agree on this that it's not the same. And the conflation
I
think
think we
is
almost
disingenuous.
directly agree. I don't think that I've never called myself an artist.
Yeah, and this is where it gets into the Shad thing, where Shad likes to call himself an artist because of his AI art, not just because of the art that he's made by hand. And I just can't hold it to the same degree. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Because there's a lot of work that it takes to become an artist, to study and be able to draw these things, learning anatomy, learning how all these things work together so that it doesn't look weird and wrong. And I think maybe it's the level of prestige that comes with that I have that my pride can't let go of, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, so your answer here is there's more work. So this is not a good comparison, actually. Tablet or
It's
Photoshop,
not a good
let's all
comparison.
yeah, because
The
still say a
one
similar
is
amount of
actually
skill
making the
work.
thing, and one is generating still. It's like
Mm.
there's a difference there, a fundamental difference in the creation process.
So yeah, the fact
Okay,
is,
I have a question about, gosh, okay. I was looking for one particular piece of art.
hello, baby.
So to the degree that humans are involved, I think is what you were saying there.
Yeah.
But okay,
But not even
and
involved. I think
you don't
involved
need
is
a
too thin a word. I think he means work. He wants something done. And
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm getting this physical bit. So
There is a fundamental difference between writing an input and having the input made for you and you making the input. There's a
the
big
word
difference there.
big
Okay.
things, make, draw, work, effort. He wants to. It's too
Do you need me to
easy.
edit like
You're saying it's
do I
too
need to
easy.
describe it further? Maybe
No.
yes, I'm saying it's too easy.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, sure. Actually, I think that is a better way to put it. And yes, to answer the question in chat, yes, I'm gatekeeping. There's no way I'm not gatekeeping with my argument.
Oh, he knows that.
I think
He's
that
owning it.
I
Yeah.
think that what was it? Gatekeeping actually is a good thing. I don't think that.
It's
I
necessary.
think that everyone agrees on gatekeeping in certain aspects, to certain degrees. You know, the right context, whatnot.
Mhm. Well, what
Uh,
gatekeeping does is also creates other spheres. So, oh, you're not in this area of the natural art people. Cool. But then you have your own area of the AI art people. That's all. That's what gatekeeping means. Is there are the people, like, it actually all the way goes back to what you were talking about. Yeah, about the culture. Things done on an individual personal basis leads to culture. So there's individuals that are using AI and going wild with it and don't see it the way Bmo does. And those people will have their own standards and build their own culture around how you're supposed to be using, whether you use somebody's thing as a reference, all things that will just evolve naturally. But then Bmo's culture is the one that was beforehand, that came before, which is it, like he if say there's a grand Bmo, a very old Bmo that that thinks it's absolute bullshit that you use a drawing tablet and a what's the name, anything electronic. That's cheating. It's too easy then, because you had to erase and you just erased very easily. That's not right. I now when I have to erase my pencils, it's so much easier. It's so much more difficult. So the lines, the culture has evolved along the whole along the way. So Grand Bmo might be angry with Bmo and think Bmo's not a good enough artist because he's a digital. And he did
I
bring
do
that
think I'm a good enough artist, but that's a different conversation.
up.
I'm my worst critic, but I feel like I'm getting the responses I usually get with this argument in the chat I'm seeing, but I'm trying to address Andrew specifically. But if you wanted to point out some of those questions, like the ones that Gray are answering, I can't answer them. I can answer them. They might not be to his liking, but both Cameron and Gray are bringing up valid points that I will want to address eventually.
Your standard seems arbitrary and definition of the work effort and your definition of work effort and authenticity, you're not explaining any of your standards, just using different buzzwords.
I fundamentally disagree with this, mainly because I am using my brain and understanding that there's a difference between me drawing something and me telling something to draw.
That's
and
literally
that's the difference that I'm trying to point out. I don't see AI art in the same value as traditional or digital art, because one is being drawn by the person, the other you're telling a computer to draw it for you, and then it gives you a piece, and then you iterate upon that. But each and every time you're telling it to make something, and then it gives it to you, and you would iterate upon it. Whereas the other, I'm physically doing it.
a good question
now,
here
here
is
we could actually replicate the same kind of AI art generation cycle with humans too. Somebody could commission you to make something, you make it, you complete it 100%, and then you give it to them, and they say, no, I want this, and then you do another piece of art and give it
You
to
do
them.
another run,
Yeah, the turnaround would be much longer, obviously, for a
absolutely.
human, but that's the only difference at that point.
Yeah, that's my process. Even like when I'm commissioned by someone, I give them progress shots as we go. It's like, is there any changes that you want during this process?
Well, I hear that's what's not happening with that is specifically what's not happening with AI art that I actually brought up before. Whereas like if you're doing progress check-ins on at different levels, right? Like with the line art, with the general concept, keeping things very loose with a sketch before you fill in extra details and whatnot. If AI art could eventually, somebody could develop a program to do that.
I mean, I think it's close enough that I would actually say that is that's why I use the commissioner example, because I think it is close enough to the commissioner example of this is like you're giving words to a commissioner, they come out with a piece, and then you say, I want you to change this. I think it's close enough that I can draw the comparison there. But to, let's say, commission a piece and then call yourself an artist because you commissioned a piece is where I draw the line. I can't do that. I can't accept that.
Yeah, I like that idea of because you commissioned a piece, you can't call it. It's a very subtle thing, but because there is effort, that there is effort in negative prompts and a sort of a whole art to doing that, a whole skill. I can definitely see how somebody can call themselves an artist, but I would want them to say AI artist, so that to show that, hey, that means that this is the type of art, which is actually another question
was it
here.
I've talked with people before about exactly what is the best phrase, because the point that you're trying to make is that, like, you are the one that is like AI, because one, you want something quick to describe what you are, that gets to the point. So like AI artist, the only problem with that is, in my mind, is that people might conflate that with being an artist who uses a computer, like sort of like how Shad defines it, like he's an artist that uses a computer that uses an AI program, and he calls
Mhm.
himself an artist. Whereas someone else might mean that I use AI art and I'm the person doing it, so I I just kind of default to this kind of you know phrase, but I don't. But much like me, I'm not. They wouldn't necessarily consider themselves to be an artist. Like so. There's all. That's the only kind of like
What would you
problem.
call them? What would you call yourself
Exactly.
then?
Well, there's a reason why I title myself AI fisherman. Is because
Mhm.
because I don't agree with that phrase. I think that prompt engineer, but then you're like is a acceptable um thing, but that doesn't really describe the end product that you might be traditionally trying to make. You might be
Mhm.
trying to get to the point where you're like, well, I don't just make any old prompts. I make prompts for
That is referring to what you do to
to
create the
art.
thing. That
Yeah,
that is that
exactly.
is that is what a prompt engineer or something would make sense to me um because that is actually where the skill is involved, not
Well,
the
well,
drawing.
there's
The
also
artist
there's
bit
actually
makes it seem like
what is it? Um, what is it? He- I there's what do you call sketching programs actually that um interact as they are extensions for like stable diffusion. Um, and so at that point, it is really a kind of like a synthesis between the AI and you, like kind of like in real time, where you are. Um, it's like the digital art version of what Shad does, but much more closely integrated, where um, you're not a prompt engineer. You are sketching. You're creating the sketches, and you're like shifting things around with the
What program
program.
is this?
stable
Hey,
diffusion, I think.
sketch extension.
You're talking about you're using a prompt that generates a sketch?
No,
So it's like
I'm talking
you're
about
actually using more
like you
definition.
are creating like digital. You're like creating digital art inside of the AI art program and then having it
To
iterate
have it iterate upon
or
it? Yeah, okay.
yeah. So I mean, it doesn't fix any of the problems that you have, but it would if you're doing that, you're not a prompt engineer, is my point.
I think there's a little more value to it, but I think there's still the problem of
Mhm.
you're depending on the AI to fix
Hmm.
your problems instead of
Well,
just learning how
or
to do
fill
it
in
yourself.
details, or fill in details
Yeah, I would not hold that to the same value because you're putting less of the
because
work in, which I'm still getting into the work problem, which
mhm,
work
Yeah.
does not equal
So
value.
yeah. So wait.
I noticed my
We
problem
were
here.
talking about ease. We were talking about ease as well. This is all a feeling, and unfortunately, we can't take that from you. Um,
Yeah, I know.
uh, it's a,
Please take
and
it
you know
from me.
what? I think what is going to happen is it's just going to evolve, and the new standard of what art is, and unfortunately, we are going to talk about the new standard of what you call an artist. You find there is a new
mhm,
thing, and digital artist does not apply because digital artist is already a thing. It's actually somebody who uses tablets and things like that. That's a digital artist. So you can't even use that. So yeah, there's going to be some. It's freaking crazy and scary and whatever, but yeah, there is skill that goes into AI art creation. Therefore, we are going to value it. But the skill that goes into the handmade stuff is a lot more authentic, I suppose. As
This is why I call them both
Bmo is
art.
feeling. Yeah,
They
both
are art. It's hard
Mhm.
to deny that.
But the value of the art to you,
Yes, so I will not value a piece that was generated by an AI over, even if it looks better. It's just this thing. I will always value the work and the skill that someone
Mhm.
puts into what they make.
Yeah.
And when it's a program that's doing that skill for you, it just feels cheap to me. And yeah, that's a personal feeling. I know it's not something objective, but that's kind of where I am on it.
Well,
Mhm.
okay. So what I know that one of your problems that you mentioned before, I think that we both agree on
We
that,
have to
and
actually
we
start
kind of
finishing off
reached a dead
soon,
end.
guys.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. It's true. But I was just gonna say about the jobs portion.
Yeah.
Would it if jobs were created more than they were destroyed, would that make you feel any better?
Um,
Good question.
I'm
Because
not
that
sure.
I say that as a question because one, I think at least on some level it would, but on for other people it wouldn't. So that's kind
Well,
of why I
this is
asked
what
it
it's
as a
like.
question.
AI art, in a lot of ways, does the concept artist job better than concept artists. Because you can just use the right Laura, and you can generate something that will generally feel like more or less what you want to do. A good example is, oh, I don't I'm a Dungeons and Dragons player, and I want to create this character, and I don't know exactly how they look, so I just start putting prompts in until I get the look I want. So it generates the concept for me that I can then build upon if I want to draw it. Um, that would take a long time. There's good reason as to why it's being preferred over uh, paying concept artists to do it, because usually you'd have like 2 or 3 concept artists that are fulfilling a certain criteria. Well, now
Mhm.
you can have one person that's just generating the prompts. They
All
just
day
put in the
long, yeah.
prompts through, and it'll do that for you. So it is limiting jobs, but it is worrisome for me, because if that ends up becoming the standard for the industry, how is that going to change the culture? And I'm not sure how I feel
Well,
about
not only
it in the
change the
first place.
culture, but like if what is it? It could stagnate art if nobody is worrying about like
Mhm.
if no one is really worrying about creating new concepts and we're just
Mhm.
using AI art that is trained on stuff that existed before, then
And
we're
then
not
trained
necessarily
on,
going to
trained
be
on. Yeah.
iterating. Yeah, we're not iterating on yeah.
But I think the thing is, we will always, which is what's happened
Well,
anyway.
yeah, I
People
know.
still paint. They
I think
still
that yeah, I think that overall um I'm less worried. I'm worried to a certain extent. I think that there is a worst case scenario that'll happen. I just have a what do you call it? I'm just I don't want to just say optimistic, but I feel like I have faith that an equilibrium will be reached. I don't think we'll reach I guess I am optimistic in a certain sense. I just don't think that the worst case scenario is what will happen, or that if it does happen, that it will survive. I think that um, even when you get like a tyrannical government, that a tyrannical government eventually topples. That
Hmm.
horrible things can happen, but eventually um, things correct themselves in time.
I
And as far as art goes, I think that was that even like what is it? Monopolies existed before, and then we created legislation to eliminate them. So I think that even if we
and
go
we've
too
done such a
far,
good job at that, right?
I
I'm
don't think
sorry.
we're all the way done. No, I don't think we're all the way done. In fact,
Agreed.
I think that the aim to eliminate the um the the success of Windows, because they were calling it a monopoly, ended up creating way worse of a problem and actually almost ensured Windows dominance going forward. Because
Yeah,
there
you're
was
referring to the .com boom,
anti-Windows.
right?
Well, no, the anti-Windows legislation, or anti-Windows, yeah, legislation, where they created, was it like they Windows originally put almost nothing into, or Microsoft, I should say, Microsoft put almost nothing into government lobbying.
Lobbying. Yeah.
Before the monopoly kind of legislation that came down, that was like anti Windows. And then after that point, they are like the number one lobbyist. Like the amount of money they put in dwarfs like everyone else in the industry, or much less maybe even in Washington, even almost. So I think that like you can, you can go too far. You can like go down the wrong path. You can be well meaning and then end up creating a bigger problem. But I don't think that so I mean, we still have lots of problems to iron out in this kind of, in legislation in general, and also in ensuring fairness and desirable ethical outcomes.
Okay, I just want to let you know I have like a half hour left before I'm going to need to go.
Same.
Yeah,
So that's
same.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we can get to these questions, although I wanted to, let's get to some of these questions, and then it'll give us
Yeah.
it'll also just, it's showing your points in action. So
Mhm.
so we've got here that let's go, we did Gray's one. Let's go to Rico. Is a photographer an artist?
Yes.
Okay. But now, what is the difference in value of a photograph and a drawing?
So, in terms of composition and the human skills that go
Mhm.
into making photography look fantastic is artistry, in
Mhm.
my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that AI art is actually pretty good at making that right now. So that
Mhm.
could, my opinion on that could change in the future, possibly.
So the use of the camera, the use of the tool, this thing,
Hmm.
that is fine. But now you just spoke about composition and things like that. That is still valuable to you because it's got to do with the physical positioning, with lighting, and with something that the human does, as opposed to writing in prompts. So if we can you see how somebody would see a camera and dolly or stable diffusion being the same thing in this thing where we're using this tool to make the image. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you see the parallel there? But the parallel doesn't work for you. I know that it's not. I'm not going to try and make it work for you. But yeah, so this is the thing is you've accepted the camera, but you haven't
Hmm.
accepted the algorithm.
No,
Because
I don't accept
the
the
camera,
algorithm, I guess.
everything, because everything that goes into, like you said, everything that goes into a photograph, composition, lighting, everything, that sort of stuff. This is even before you even apply editing to it, because I'm sure you would
Yes.
also put the effort on that editing as well. That does use programming, but you still value that, and you would still value that above something that isn't even there,
Hmm.
that wasn't even photographed. So is that
It's
but you yeah.
it's
So
a
his answer
thinker,
is
that's
yes.
for sure. But
Mhm.
my answer as of right now, tentatively, is yes.
Okay, so photographer is an artist. Catrew, what your opinion? That should it works. Photographer is an artist because so is AI person, right?
Right. Well, um, Well, that wasn't my position.
Isn't your
Uh,
isn't your position that that it's okay?
I think
Okay,
that it has a place. I
it
think
has a
that the
place.
technology is a place, but like labeling people who use it as artists is incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
And would you would pay more for something that was made by humans? Or what would you pay?
Well,
Yeah.
I would expect I would
Mm,
expect to like the value of a hand drawn piece of art or even
mhm.
a digital piece of art. Um, natural art or digital art. If it's made by an artist, I would expect it to be cost more. But I'm also a thrifty person, so if I can get it for an equivalent price, I will. But I
Mhm.
would value it more.
So
I know
this is
that.
why you haven't commissioned
You would
me.
value it you would value it the more it looks like it wasn't even made. It was made by a human. It needs to look that way.
No,
Actually,
just knowing that. I mean,
just
and the
knowing
thing
it.
is that
So just knowing it, yeah.
let's right if somebody or if I later found out, I mean, I feel like anyone would, if they found out that it was actually generated by AI and
Mm-hmm.
it was just really creative use of the program that ended up
I still
getting
feel like
past.
something's less. It still
Yeah,
feels
I would still feel
disingenuous.
like it would be
Lie.
less.
It's a
Yeah,
lie. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so going back to this, then what exactly? There is no exact disagreement. It's more your feelings for AI are different. Your feeling is that it's good, it's okay, it has its place. We do need to fix it up, but we're dealing with it. And
Well, and
Bmo's is,
maybe
oh
we
my
do.
god, I'm
Maybe,
scared.
I
yeah.
am scared.
Well, maybe,
Yes.
yeah, and maybe
Shaking in my
there's
boots.
yeah, maybe there's a part two to this someday. I
Yes.
think that something that I really wanted to touch on that we didn't really get to is jobs and I had notes. I was making notes while Bimo was talking. I was making notes while Bimo was talking, and
How did you do that? He didn't speak much. I'm kidding.
I'm quick.
Do you
No,
guys,
but
yeah, maybe guys, do you have any? Okay, let's quickly finish the thing, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
can we go over your notes? Okay, so let's quickly go.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so Cameron just here says there's a clear difference between drawing with a pencil and with a tablet. One is a computer, so this is along the same lines of this, both the camera thing, right?
I think
Compute. One is a
I think they
computer
can. They can.
creating.
I think that.
mm,
Okay, you go ahead. Sorry.
One is a computer creating the image from your action that you put down. The other is a hand on a page. So it's hand on tablet versus hand on page. One is not the same degree of art. So then I would want, what my question from Cameron's comment here is, I would actually want to ask you, Bmo. So say you use a certain kind of brush in digital art that makes it
Hmm.
look like you've got, like you said, like a
Custom
there's like a
brushes, yeah.
crosshatch or something like that. There's a
Yeah.
certain thing like that. But you did say that if somebody's gone and done it on a piece of paper, they've put in that work. You
If
would
they're
value that
doing it
higher.
manually, I would
Yeah,
respect that more
manual
than
is,
someone
yeah.
who uses the tool. But at the same time, the technique to put it there is still there.
Hmm.
And you still can use traditional techniques to do so. I think that there's a very small difference between a digital artist and a
Hmm.
traditional artist in that degree, because you can use all of the traditional techniques
Hmm.
digitally without the tools. Anything else, like you can use the tools available to you, but you can totally 100% do it your own way. Even using my profile picture right here, I
Hmm.
shaded that in by hand, and you can tell.
Hmm.
It's just that was me. He just go, yeah, well, just a bunch of lines back and forth. Or I could have used a tool that would look a lot more uniform. But the personality comes from doing it by hand, which is why I would put it above.
Okay. Then one more here, this, and maybe one from me afterwards. This might be ground that's already covered, but if AI software is used to alter/enhance art drawn by hand, can that be included in the same broad category as fully hand drawn pieces?
So this is
I
the
would-
shad argument.
Yeah, I don't think this is you would not this if I'm to put it in your brain, there is the spectrum of pure hand drawn art, then there's hand and AI and hands, yay, and then there's just AI, and you would value the one over here higher than the
There's
one.
degrees here, because to answer the question with how I'll answer it in the way that I've answered the shad part of this, where shad draws the building blocks for his AI. Okay, I will value what he draws as the building blocks more than the AI, because he actually made that. He made that so that the AI could iterate upon it. And I think that there is some value there, but I will not hold it to the same degree as if he did it all himself.
But yeah, and you would hold it to more value because there is a reference that he's given. He's at least given.
I would actually,
but
because
that's not as much as if you had all.
No, not to the same degree. I think that there is a good point to be made that if you are making art that way, there is some value in that. Just like this is why I'll still call AI art. I'm not one of those crazy people that was like, no, it's not art because you used AI at any point. I actually said this to Andrew yesterday during our conversation that was private. There was something I said was like, okay, well, I hate drawing backgrounds. If I could use AI to make a background for my character illustrations, I totally will. I totally would. Would there be less value in that? I don't know. Is it the center of the piece? I might have a different opinion there.
It's subtle differences.
The AI told me it's authentic art, though.
Andrew, anything to add to this comment by Scum? If AI software is used to alter,
I have a little bit of a different take, but I mostly agree with Bmo. I think that I have an interest in AI art beyond its existence. So maybe that's why I might place more value in AI art than Bmo does, but I think that our general perspectives align. Because I'm interested in what comes after generating the AI art. That's where my main interest in AI art is what comes next. Not just the simple creation of it, not just looking at it after it's done.
Okay.
I'm starting to say more value on AI art than Bmo, but still value manual, let's say, art.
Yeah, and again, that kind of spectrum that you created, where if you are generating the art completely by yourself, even if you're using automation tools, I would value that more. Completely all yourself, more automation tools, less. If you're using like the shad method where you're drawing and then converting, less than that, and then just prompt generation.
I want that to officially be known as the shad method. Officially.
The shad method.
This one over here, hand drawn.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it underneath
reference, then adding AI art on top of it is now shad method.
Here. I don't think
we can say Bmo method.
Bmo method
please
is
don't. No.
Yeah, Bmo method
traditional.
Is digital. No, traditional. Well, it's digital art because you mostly do digital. You don't mostly do natural art, right?
Well, in terms of defining the concepts here, I would call fully fledged piece from scratch the traditional method, even if you're using digital art. as
Yeah, 'cause
compared to having a program add details on top of what you made as building blocks.
Okay.
Okay.
I totally
One more
muddied the
thing.
waters though by putting it that way, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
One of the things I think, just to show the middle ground or the common thing that everybody, do we understand why mass-produced plates and whatever is cheaper than handmade pottery?
Well, it's because we've learned how to use machines to shortcut the process, so then there's less human input. We already have a set mold for what it can be. I still think that there's value in that, but that's the reason why it's cheaper. It's easier to make that way because now you don't have to physically make it.
Yeah. You don't have to, but you can understand why a fruit bowl, glass blown, hand blown glass, whatever, is
Yes.
considered more valuable because of the human thing.
Yes.
I think we all value humanity here. I think everybody can give themselves a round of applause. We all agree that humans are quite cool.
Humans are
sometimes.
quite cool. Oh, also, I just want to address my authenticity humanity argument in terms of law would be thrown in the trash because a monkey made art at one point and it was being sold, and that had to go through the court system, and monkeys can make art. So the human aspect of that in terms of law doesn't hold up. There's precedent there.
Well, then it's sentience and creativity that we have to go and find
There you go.
find our definitions for, because then, and I'm sorry, it does relate to what is art question. It really does.
Yes.
If there's anything in your notes we can go over quickly, I would not.
Well,
but or we could just do some summary statements. Because we're
okay. So one of the things that I'm most interested, and it's kind of like why I what is it? Am excited about AI art. I would say that categorizing my interest in AI art as excitement rather than value in terms of artistic value would be probably more apt, is because I am interested in it as a way of enhancing or generating new stories, being able to tell stories with it. And I was just kind of doing a mental exercise. This is just recently at the end here, where I was thinking about, well, what if I had AI stories? I would view them very similar, if not worse, than Bmo views AI art.
So because that's a very good, wow, I like that. So if an AI wrote
I would think it's amusing at best, really.
They've gotten people to finish, they've gotten AI to finish Game of Thrones or something like that, apparently. So they'd say that.
They put
I think it's
Batman in
amusing
Game
at
of Thrones.
best. But George R. R. Martin doesn't tell anyone that he actually used ChatGPT for this. And he goes and he gets it published, and you enjoy the book. And then we find out later on that it was ChatGPT. You would be upset. You would feel like you were cheated.
I would feel like that man does not deserve the amount of money that he got for the book. That's for sure.
That's certainly.
But wouldn't you feel
100%.
artistically? Would it be like if we somehow found out? Okay, it's just.
Well, I wouldn't be morally offended, but I would be like, well, this is an amusing piece of fan fiction written by a computer.
It's not
it's
real.
Not like
There's
the
no
true. It's not the real
authenticity
ending. No, yeah.
There's no authenticity. It's not real.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a beautiful. I'm sorry, I have to write that in here, guys. That's incredible. I love that you found a parallel in your own where your line is drawn the same. That's quite cool. Am I? Did I upset you when I said your line is drawn the same?
No.
Okay.
Yes, because Andrew doesn't actually draw the line, and I draw the line.
No,
that's exactly where I thought you were going to go with it.
Okay, so So actually, so stories and authenticity. AI stories, AI authors. Yeah, so I mean, an AI author are not cool. That's
Yeah.
basically it.
So yeah, one of the things that
would see the same would
Yeah.
see it the same way as Bmo sees AI arts
so
drawings.
yeah, and if you can keep typing while I talk, hopefully I won't distract you. But I was gonna say that I going based off of like where my excitement lays is that I'm a big believer in liberalism, and therefore, like what I see as the optimal form of capitalism, not as it exists now, but its possible future.
Mhm.
The what is it? And oh gosh, and so we have property rights, right? Property rights are
Mhm.
big and very important, right? But we have the exception of fair use
Mhm.
that violates property rights, and it's
Mhm.
done so for the with the justification for the public good. It has such a massive benefit for the public good that I believe it's worthwhile to violate property rights, which are almost sacred in my eyes.
Clip it,
Um,
CT.
there we go.
That was a
So
wonderful quote.
Catrew is
there
against
you go.
property rights in the context of
It's
fair
fun to
use.
violate property rights.
There you go.
This is
So
just fair use of your vehicle, madam.
so
I'm gonna give it back.
yeah.
Maybe.
So
It's meant to produce.
so
protect
in that
property.
sense, I feel like if we go backwards, I think we'll feel like the move from what do you call it, blacksmiths
Mhm.
to what do you call it, the move from blacksmiths to um more tradition, well, I say traditional, but I mean now, the factory method of making products and
Mhm.
is is was a massive step up for society, and I feel like this could be a similar thing where just AI in general, the use of it, the use of ethical AI, and as what does that mean, right? But will be a large net boon to society. And one of the things that I'm excited about in relation to AI art is its ability to, so we don't have to keep reinventing the wheel, essentially. We can focus on um, being more creative, and we don't have to get stuck in, we can be more creative, we can create better art, we can create more interesting art, and therefore better stories, and we can be unburdened by the the tedium of creating art that
Visual art. Visual
right
art.
that most yeah that most people visual art that most people don't care to what is it that most people don't care about. I think that there is some therapeutic benefit in the simple creation of art, but I feel like most people value the end product, the ability to be creative, and that is where I would like AI to go in relation to art. Is to is I
Just
would
prompt
I
it.
would what I would
Go ahead.
actually think it would be a sad reality that may end up happening if AR art simply gets better and better at the generating art. What I hope is that people are able to take what we've learned from like Stable Diffusion and other programs to create what is that, creative tools that automate away the tedium while still keeping in all of the artistic expression of humanity.
Okay. I
And
actually,
Bmo,
I actually like
Mm.
that last part that you said. I think that there's definitely value in that to automate away some of the tedium to allow for more creativity. I am sympathetic to that stance.
yay.
I guess it's my turn for my closing statement or whatever. And
Mhm.
I'm going to hold some water for the AI Art Club now. Okay. So I want to say it to the community. Okay. The art community is very contentious. Okay. There are a bunch of different camps here. But I just want to say you don't own your art style. So making the plagiarism argument will never work
Mhm.
unless it is image to image and there's barely anything changed. You can't really say that they're stealing art. You can't. You need to understand how this stuff works so then you can actually make an argument against it. There's a reason why I didn't address plagiarism at all in this discussion, because I think most AI art is different enough that it's not plagiarism. Again, you don't own your art style. So I'm very optimistic about the creativity aspect. But where I'm scared is that it will make it so that art as a medium is even further looked down upon, because it's already a cultural thing, especially where I live, that if you want to be an artist and you want to make money being an artist, you will starve to death. It is a very common thing that you'll hear, the starving artist trope, that you'll never make any money, you'll never do this. And when you're eliminating jobs in the art field, that could come true. And I'm afraid of that.
Mm.
But ultimately, I don't completely disagree with Andrew here, as we've found. There is some middle ground here, quite a bit, actually.
Mhm.
And I think that it's possible to have these conversations without getting into
Debate.
super bad faith, like misinterpretations of what people are saying.
I think I'm
But
going to
these-
change it to discussion diagram. Or no, it's a
Yeah.
debate. You guys, that's
This
still a
is enough of
debate
the debate.
because you
This is enough of the
disagree.
debate.
So one of the things that's a little unfortunate that we knew we would just never be able to recreate is kind of like what happened yesterday, where
Yeah.
where I had said something, staked out a position, and then Bmo said, "Well, I'm going to have to push back on that," and then he said a bunch of stuff in relation
About
to
the
it. And I said,
conflation between the generation versus creating it yourself.
Sort of. No, it was in relation to the what do you call it? The automation process, automation in different art and such. And Bmo pushed back on something I had said in relation to that, and then I said, actually, I agree. Well, I agree with everything you just said, and I don't think that what you just said disagrees with what I just said. And you're like, okay, wait a minute.
Then how about we record this?
Yeah. So it's unfortunate we weren't able. I mean, we knew we weren't going to be able to, so we didn't even try. But yeah, that was one of the more
Well, it's
interesting
because of the way
things that
your
happened between
conversation
us.
went. You didn't have supervision.
Yeah, but it was really cool how we could work that out between the two of us.
Yeah.
that.
And I'm very glad we can have this conversation without it turning into my intuitions make me want to scream at you that you're wrong. Because yeah, I'm definitely emotionally tied to this argument because I want to make a career in art. But the discussion has to happen, and as we've found, we do agree more than
Then you
disagree in a lot of
disagree.
sections
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Your feelings.
My fifis.
I will never be able to moderate discussion. Yes. Except it will do it between ARs. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I appreciate, even though you guys have basically you hashed it out yesterday, and you've had this conversation 3 times. I
This
really
conversation
appreciate.
3 times, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, this argument, I suppose,
We
3
can
times.
discuss AI art several times
Yeah.
in the past,
Mm.
but this discussion happened 3 times.
Yeah. So I appreciate that you did that for my stream in front of me, and let me also just
I'm
ask you
happy to
questions
embarrass myself in
and
front of you.
Mm.
yeah, you guys were just asses. You guys should actually just be leaving right now. I would leave. No, I'm kidding. Please don't leave. No, I really appreciate also you guys being the first live debate things. Obviously we didn't have much of a structure, but I did enjoy being able to just try and figure out what you guys were trying to say, and also just it helps me to ask you questions, and also we got to have some of the chat. I don't know, we'll evolve this format going forward, but I really appreciate you guys volunteering your discussion for it. And I know usually I have 4 hours, but this was a shorter stream, so I really appreciate you also giving the shorter stream a go, even so.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. This has been
All
fun.
good.
Is this where we
Yeah,
plug?
guys. Yes, sorry, that is where you plug. I guess we'll just go the way it is. So Bmo. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong way. Bmo.
Yeah. So I have had some life stuff turn upside down, so I will have to change my streaming schedule. That's why I'm not streaming this week.
Lame.
But I will hopefully be streaming next week. Other than that, I am open for commissions now publicly. I'm going to be putting a sheet out soon on my Twitter, so follow me at Bmo Do Art on Twitter as well as Twitch. And yeah, send me an inquiry if you're interested. And no, I will not be using AI art to create it.
Okay, and Andrew?
So I've got my gaming streams that I'm going to be doing on Friday, and I am going to be working really hard. God, I keep coming up with new video ideas and like giving myself more work, and it's like
True.
Before
but
you're done with one,
I
you
got
go into
some.
the
I got
next,
some.
yeah.
Yeah, I've got. So I'm working on a variety of videos. They will come out eventually, hopefully soon. But in the meantime, I've got my gaming stream on Friday. Approximately, this morning schedule that we've carved out for ourselves. So on Friday, and then Thinkers tomorrow.
Yeah, Thinkers tomorrow. We will not talk about AI on Thinkers, but I'm sure we'll have enough to talk about there. We'll be discussing what our topics are during the course of the next 10 hours. And
Okay.
I might use AI art to create a thumbnail. Because I won't force you to doodle it all, Bmo, unless you want to.
I mean, I can doodle some things. I don't know if I'll have time today, but we'll find out.
You can do, we can do one doodle Godzilla or something if we're going to talk about that, or Lady Ballers or something. But yeah, thanks everybody. Thank you for coming
Lady
to this
Baller
weird
Godzilla.
Wednesday. Lady Baller God. I mean, who knows? Just see if anything comes to mind. But yeah, we will see you guys tomorrow, because Bmo, will you still be able to join us?
I'll definitely be there tomorrow. I don't know how long I'll be there tomorrow, but I'll be there tomorrow.
You'll make a Hydra appearance. You'll be like, hello, and then go away. So yeah, it's okay. Catrew, you'll be there. So yes, tune in for Thinkers. Join the Discord if you have not already, and have a nice life. And oh yes, sorry.
Bye-bye.
Wait, don't. Okay, yes, bye bye. But also,
Go and subscribe, you shit.
you shit.